Welcome to the Business Unfiltered series. I'm Rick Plasket, a certified business and leadership coach here in Ohio. And today my guest is Kurt Nederveld. He is the CEO of Rainstar Capital Group, a debt advisory group. Today we're going to talk to Kurt about his business, some of the challenges, some of his best practices, and get a real good peek into what it's really like to build and operate a business today. If this is your first time on the channel, please be sure to like and subscribe. It helps us and gives you the ability to view new conversations. Kurt, welcome and thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thank you, Rick. It's good to meet you and speak with you, and I'm excited to do this podcast together. I think it's going to be really educational.
Super, super. So listen, help the audience out and give us a brief overview of your background, how you got to be where you are today, and a little bit about Rainstar Capital.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm the CEO, founder, 100% owner of Rainstar Capital Group. We celebrated 12 years in business in January. As the shooting of this podcast, we are in 2026. So yeah, I've been in the capital markets a long time. Prior to starting Rainstar Capital Group, I had started Rainstar Marketing. We had done a lot of lead generation work and marketing services work for clients in the capital markets and commercial real estate. And then I realized I was in the wrong business because we were generating all these leads, and then we have all these lender relationships. And I realized, we could, create a great business, right, out of serving clients and delivering capital. And so fast forward over these last 12 years, our firm has been at a lot of the different capital markets conferences. I speak at a lot of the different ones. And so we've been able to develop this very diversified lending platform of 250 registered lenders that are all banks, hedge funds, private equity firms, specialty finance firms. We deliver lending solutions in the four categories of commercial real estate finance, corporate finance, which, like middle market companies doing 20 million plus of top line revenue, small business lending, the companies that are 20 million below, and then we do a lot of equipment lending. And so I'm sure, as you know, Rick, when any business owner or commercial real estate investor needs debt financing, the number one place they run to is typically their local bank, right? And so we do deals with banks, right? That's kind of what we call an A paper lender, but we have lenders that compete with banks in the A category, and then we have all your B, C, and D lenders, which typically are private credit funds and specialty finance firms, and they have a wealth of different programs that sometimes when we meet the CFO or the ownership group, sometimes these clients just have never heard of these programs. They don't understand how they work. And more importantly, we're able to educate the clients on the value that they can bring to hyper grow their revenue, right? Or solve for a liquidity gap, right? That they might have in their business. So long story short, our firm has been applauded over the years for our focus on education. We've shot like 1,000 videos that we have out on the internet. 9 years ago, we launched our own magazine called Rainstar Capital Group's Ultimate Lending Guide. And then we've developed these CFO-level tools that help clients to understand when it makes sense to take on alternative debt, right? Because most clients have bank debt, right? But when they're growing, sometimes the bank debt doesn't support the growth that they need, and that's where they need the alternative products, right? And so these CFO-level tools do sort of a deep dive analysis on the revenue and the profitability of their growth story or their new contract, right, or the job that they're looking to secure in comparison to the additional cost of capital. Because when you go into a B, C, or D lender, the cost rises, right? Most bank debt, obviously we're in the higher interest rate environment, right, compared to where we were 2 years ago. But most bank debt is, your 6 to 8% debt, right? So when you start to go into B and C and D debt, the cost of that debt rises, right? So long story short, we're just a great group to know because we've done lots of transactions over the last 12 years. And more importantly, we come to the relationship sort of with that full restaurant menu of every single debt option. And then we can come alongside the management team and really educate them on the different and best programs where they're at in their revenue and their growth journey.
Super. Thank you so much for that, Kurt.
Yeah.
Hey, as the CEO, as the founder, 100% owner, tell us a little bit about, I want to say, tell us about the role that you play in business today, but I also recognize that I'm betting that role has multiple hats. So maybe you want to expand on that as well.
Yeah, for sure. So, as a firm, we've been very blessed with our people, right? We've got a great leadership team. It took us many years to build out the right people, systems, and processes. I'm sure most everyone watching this podcast is familiar with EOS, right? And so we have taken pieces of EOS and applied it, into our organization. And so, in regards to a lot of our processes, we have been very much focused on the evolution of AI, right? To us, AI represents a huge opportunity for our firm going forward. Last year, we made some very strategic investments into some different AI lead generation, and that has just proven to be very fruitful. So when people use like Chat GPT or Claude or Gemini or any of those different solutions, we are popping up when they're searching out, an alternative lender, an equipment lending or business financing or whatever it may be. And that's been causing us to have significant lead generation coming in, through our website. Now, what we're working on is just the automation of a lot of our loan processes. AI just has an incredible um, opportunity to streamline our operations and, more importantly, speed up the time frame that it takes, from the initial loan application, right, kind of the intake of the opportunity, in regards to the packaging, and then in regards to the submission, out to our lenders. So yeah, we are 100% focused on AI. We've spent the last 12 years obviously solidifying our lender network, right? And that took a long time. Many conferences, many dinners, many meetings at the offices of a lot of our lenders up in New York or Miami or Chicago, or all the different kind of capital markets hubs. But yeah, so we feel like our back end is solid. We always joke that we have tremendous amounts of capital, and we're just looking for great business owners and management team to connect our lending partners into. But now, really, it's about how do you scale and grow the operation by leveraging the tools, right? And AI for sure is one of the things that we are laser focused on. We feel that obviously AI, if you're not adopting AI, then you're going to fall way behind, right? And so that's a key focus for us currently.
Super, super. So with that entire casserole of opportunities and responsibilities, when you look at your calendar, what's the feeling of the percentage breakdown of how much time do you invest in the nuts and bolts of making the business, making the operations go, and how much time do you spend in the forward looking, the strategy, the planning, the what do we really need to be when we grow up type of posture?
Yeah, for sure. So time blocking has always been something that I've been a big advocate for. I typically like to spend my mornings focused in on sort of like bigger vision, strategic alignment, and then focusing on kind of like forward moving projects that
Mhm.
propel our firm forward. And obviously, our firm operates nationwide in regards to providing lending solutions to clients. And so, being up here in Michigan, obviously we're on East Coast time, and so to me, the mornings are just a great time because you're not getting calls from folks in Central Time, or what I mean, Mountain or
Mhm.
Pacific
Mhm.
time, right? So yeah, so I try to spend kind of half of my day, focusing in on our bigger vision, right? And then the other half, I've always been a big advocate of what I call servant leadership, but also leading by doing, right? And so I'm a CEO that still works with clients, right? I don't just hand everything off to my team and say, figure it out. I've always been a big advocate of leading by example. And to do that, you have to keep your skills sharp, right? So you have to be fully knowledgeable on the lender's products. You have to be fully knowledgeable on, what the situations of the client is. And so As in my role as CEO, I mean, here at Rainstar, we've created different divisions, right? So we have our equipment lending division, we have a commercial real estate division, we have our kind of our working capital and corporate finance division. So I typically get called in on kind of larger commercial real estate transactions, larger merger acquisition, and middle market companies that kind of need my higher level of expertise, right? And then we also we don't publicize this a lot, but typically we do anywhere from 1 to 5 assignments a year where we'll do lender financing, where I have a lot of really great relationships with a lot of the private credit funds, and there's times where, they either have, too many deals and not enough capital, or too much capital and not enough deals, right? And so when they have too many deals and not enough capital, we have done deals where we've arranged like warehouse lines of credit, note on note financing, kind of like offtake agreements. And so that's the beauty of our lending platform, right? Is we have such a diversified solution base that we tend to get calls from our other balance sheet lenders that send us referrals because they know the diversity of the solutions that we have. And so if they're a commercial real estate lender and they have a client that also owns a manufacturing firm and they need working capital, that's the beauty of Rainstars. We're not limited, right? We've
Hmm.
spent the last 12 years at all these different conferences across all these different lending focuses, and kind of bringing it under one roof on one platform, allows us to be really valuable to clients because of the fact that we can truly problem solve and not be limited.
Super. You mentioned a couple of things as you were sharing that with us. One was being a servant leader, and another was leading by example. Define a little bit more specifically, what would you call your leadership style? And second part is, has it changed over the years? And do you see a need to change yet again going into the future?
Yeah, for sure. So my gift and my curse, as I call it, is I am a type A personality. And when you look at any of the personality profiling, like Myers-Briggs or Personality Plus or any of those, I'm definitely the lion, right? Or I'm the type A dominator. And so I've had to learn, I had to work a lot on myself to be able to really focus not so much on the results, but also focus on the people, right? And also
Mhm.
their emotions. And so I've learned where my weaknesses as a leader lie, and that's why I'm thankful for our leadership team, because they kind of make up for my weaknesses, right? And they allow me to play to my strengths, right? And my
Mhm.
strengths are focused on the vision, and where our organization needs to go, right? And so yeah, being a type A is a blessing, but it's also a curse, right? And you have to be very careful not to offend people, because sometimes you come across as very driven and very, straight to the point and direct, and sometimes that can offend people. But at the end of the day, my intent with being direct is never to, never to be negative, but yeah, it's just focused on the results.
Amen to that. I mean, my military background, I grew up in, there was two ways to take the hill. You could do it by brute force and win the hill, but not have any resources left for the subsequent missions, or you could do an end round, preserve your resources, and be ready for the follow-up mission. Absolutely. You mentioned your team and you mentioned your leadership team. Do you have an active, ongoing development program for those people to continue to grow, or maybe even a program where one of those people can ultimately replace you, or at least replace the things that you don't want to do anymore?
Yeah, for sure. So what's been great is that all of our team sort of started at the bottom and then rose up the ranks, right? And grew into the roles that they're at. And so in our business, we are very big advocates of knowledge, right? And so from a personal development perspective, we're always speaking and talking through the concept of obviously product knowledge, right? So we constantly are having lender trainings. In fact, after I'm done shooting this podcast, we have another one coming up with one of our commercial real estate bridge lenders. So we're constantly focused on staying on top of what our capital providers are actually lending into
Mhm.
versus what they say they're doing, right? Meaning, a matrix will say one thing, but what we've tried to focus in on is what were the last three deals you closed, and why did you actually close those deals, right? Why did you focus in on those? Other things that we've done and continue to focus on is on the personal development side, we're very big advocates of like a book of the month club or like an audio
Mhm.
book of the month club. We feel there's just tremendous knowledge that can be ascertained from leaning into different books. And so, yeah, we love books, right? As a leadership group, we're always constantly sharing great resources that we come across. So that's a big thing. And then also is conferences, right? So in our
Mhm.
business, conferences are where you A, build the relationships, but then B, continue to further your knowledge on, again, getting transactions complete, right? So in the role that we play as a debt advisor, we're interacting with clients all the time on the one hand, and then we're interacting with lenders on the other side. We're almost like
Mhm.
the marriage counselors.
Mhm.
We're
Mhm.
bringing the parties together, and we're getting the deals closed, right? So it's very important for us to truly understand the needs of the client and to be able to then effectively match that with what the needs of the lender is, right? Because obviously they've raised capital, they have a motivation to get that capital out to start creating yield, right? And so to be able to, kind of be the choir orchestrator, right, or the quarterback of that entire process, it truly does take a special person, right? It's a lot to learn, it's a lot to know. But as you get into a pattern of doing it, and you consistently close deals in those different verticals and product lines, then you understand the process, and that's where I think we add just incredible value to our clients because sometimes these clients aren't used to going through that process. It's kind of like buying a house, right? You
Mhm.
don't buy a house once every 6 months, right? It might be a couple times. So getting financing and going under a purchase sale agreement and learning about appraisals and you know what I mean? It's not always the easiest process, but when you have
Mhm.
somebody that's been through the process and can guide you, it just leads to a better outcome.
That's right. I'm going to squirrel just a bit. You mentioned a book of the month club. We do it all the time. I do it with my clients. The one that we started on and are just finishing up for the month of March here is 10x is easier than 2x. Have you heard of
Yeah,
that
that's a
one?
that's a great book. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a mindset shift. And as
Yep.
you're growing or as the capital clients are growing, it's a great way of looking at things. It's if I want a bigger house, I can always build an addition, or I can go out to a open plot and build from the ground up what I really need. So it's a different type
Yeah,
of perspective there. Tell me,
that's right.
it's staying in the area of people, where you're at and where your company is going right now, is hiring a regular activity inside the company?
Yeah. So from a hiring perspective, we always are on the lookout for great, strong talent. That being said, we're meshing that with AI, right?
Mhm.
Especially in regards to the automation of a lot of our processes, right? So from a forward-looking perspective, from a client interface perspective, a lot of our team are ex-bankers. And so they appreciate the level of guidance and expertise that each of the members of our team carries because of the 10, 20, 30 years sometimes that they had in the banking environment. But along with that, when you can again couple the processes with AI to kind of streamline things, that's in my opinion where it's a winning combination, right? Is where you're including the human talent but you're enhancing the human talent with the systems of AI and processes. So yeah, we're always looking. I will share that we're very selective on who we take into the firm. We've learned many lessons over the years about making sure that the individuals that come have to be the right fit from a culture perspective. And so I would say we focus less on hiring new people, meaning that it's not something that we necessarily have to do, but it's more right fit, right place, right time, right? And if we feel that individual has the ability to, meet the qualifications that our firm has, then, then of course we're always open. But yeah, for us, it's very much about, continuing to grow the AI element versus necessarily having to add, more people.
Right. Right. It's interesting on both of those scenarios. Years ago, when I first started my coaching company, I lived in Atlanta, Georgia, and once or twice a year, I would take all of my clients on a business field trip, and we would visit Chick-fil-A headquarters. On one of those visits, one of my clients asked the tour guide, "Hey, how do you guys hire? Because all I see is happy people around here, and when I go through the store, I get happy smiles along with my sandwich." They took us up to Dan Cathy's office, and Dan said, real simple, we hire on three different things. Character first, they got to have the same character as the company does. Chemistry, and he was real simple. He described it. If you're calling me and I see your number on my caller ID, if I'm smiling, we got good character and we or good chemistry and we did it right. If I'm sitting there going, I don't really want to talk to this one today, we didn't. And he said, that's where 90% of our firing comes from, is on the character and the chemistry, not so much what they did. And that's the third part, which was their capability. Said, if you're looking to be working with us, you may take 18 months to come in because we're going to thoroughly investigate that character and the chemistry. If we get those right, we have a happy winning team. That's something
Yep.
that's lived with me forever. And those first two things are tough to do on a phone interview and an hour interview. You just can't do it the old school way. You've got to really dig into those. Super.
Yeah, that's right. Chick-fil-A is an excellent organization. I've been a member of a lot of the different like CEO and business owner roundtable groups here in West
Hmm.
Michigan. And so I personally know the owners of the different Chick-fil-A locations here in the Grand Rapids market. And I can tell you that I've always been incredibly impressed with the culture and the organization and just the systems and the people. They do an excellent job of creating young leaders. And not everyone obviously stays at Chick-fil-A forever, but I can share that they get taught a lot of incredible lessons that then catapult them into whatever career path that they go on. So I've always been incredibly impressed, and Chick-fil-A has great food, so you can't you can't
You're
go wrong.
absolutely right. You're going to pay $2 or $3 more going through the Chick-fil-A line than any other fast food, but you're going to do it with a smile on your face. You're absolutely correct. I would
Yep.
also enable that in addition to doing a good job of onboarding and hiring, they do a very, very good job of vetting. They're picking the right people with the right character and the right core values and beliefs that they can work with. And that's the secret. And it's interesting how quickly that's accelerating into other businesses in today's world. It used to be just hire somebody that can do the job, but now we're hiring on people that can be the same value and belief as the rest of our organization. Yeah. So, hey, listen, we've covered a lot of ground today in this conversation. And for those of you guys that are watching, I highly encourage you to save this one, come back to it a couple of times because Kurt has definitely given us a lot of great nuggets. Before I get to the final section of this, I want to hit a section that's called the rapid fire questions. Got 3 or 4 questions here. I'm just looking for top of mind answers. You ready for this, Kurt?
Oh yeah, bring it on.
Super, super, super. What's your key to success?
Perseverance.
Super. What's a piece of advice that you would give to another business owner?
Uh, Create a strong board of advisors.
Absolutely. Amen. You mentioned the book of the month. So, what's a book that you would highly recommend for someone else to pick up and read?
Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff, one of the most powerful books on human psychology and sales, and it'll definitely help you in your presentation ability.
Super, super. If there was one area of your business, Kurt, that over the weekend, magic wand waved on it and it was exactly what you wanted it to be, and it was absolutely producing everything that you envisioned, what would that one area be?
Uh, that's a great question. So, I've always said in our business, larger deals come with a lot more headache, right? And one of my mentors in the space, I know this is not a quick hitting answer, but hear me out on this because it's a powerful lesson. One of my mentors early on in the business said, every great deal dies 7 times. The reason why the deal closes or not is your ability as the advisor to pick the deal up every time it dies, resurrect it, and get it across the finish line, right? So anyway, yeah, to answer your question, large deals are wonderful when they close, but they're heavy lifts to get across the finish line. So if there was one area I could wave a magic wand, it would be for large deals to not die 7 times, and to be a lot easier to close. But that's why we get paid the big bucks to get the deals closed.
Awesome. Awesome. Hey, listen, before I get to the final question of the day, Kurt, if there's somebody watching this that wants to get in touch with you, either to be your next best customer or to talk to you further about some of your views on business, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Yeah, go to our website, rainstarcapitalgroup.com. You can email me, Kurt, K-U-R-T, at rainstarcapitalgroup.com. We have a tremendous amount of content on our website, all over the internet. If you just Google us, there's lots of different videos and educational webinars and pamphlets and flyers and tools that people can see. But yeah, either through our website or just send me an email direct.
Thank you. Thank you. So here's the final question for today. What do you find most inspiring?
I find most inspiring people that overcome hardships. So in my life, two major events have been overcoming cancer. And then unfortunately, our daughter Ava passed away about almost 7 years ago. And so those have been incredibly difficult times in my life. And so the question, becomes, how are you going to handle that when, life throws those curveballs your way, right? And so they're not easy times, but the ability to persevere and overcome those hardships have definitely created kind of who I am today. But they've also given me a large heart for other people that go through those types of situations.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Kurt. And I would challenge you. Everything that you said was absolutely correct. It's not in how you handle that, it's in the original choice to handle it.
That's right.
Once you choose to handle it, you're going to find a way to get it done. It's that first choice of, yeah, I'm not going to sit on the couch and eat potato chips for the rest of my life.
Right. Right.
Hey,
Yep.
Kurt, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate you sharing your journey. And this was a journey that you have shared with us, particularly that zinger at the end. And I really do appreciate you opening up to us like that. And you, the audience, thank you for watching this. I'm inspired by this. I'm definitely inspired by Kurt. Folks, make it a great day and bye for now.
Yeah. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, everybody.